Good evening. I'm Sheriff Clarence Dupnik, D-U-P-N-I-K, Pima County Sheriff. I've been a police officer in this community for over 50 years, 30 of which has been as sheriff. And in my 50-some years, I have never been so shocked in my life as the events that happened today. This is not only a very sad day for Tucson and for the family, for the friends of all the victims of this horrendous, senseless, unbelievable crime. But it's a sad day for America. First, if we may, I'm going to provide you with some of the details as to what happened, kind of a thumbnail sketch. And then we have the person in charge of the FBI for the state of Arizona, Nate. What is your last name? Gray. Nate Gray. The last guy was Green. We have Nate Gray. This is a day of personal sadness for very many of us in this room. People like Dr. Carmona, who is the 17th Surgeon General of the United States, and has been a Pima County Sheriff's Deputy for some 25 years. He's going to follow Nate Gray and answer any questions that you may have reference medical issues. But this morning around 10 a.m., Congresswoman Giffords was having a town hall type of meeting outside in a kind of a strip mall situation outside Safeway grocery store. She does this frequently. There was no indication of any problems, but at about 10 minutes after 10, a gunman approached and started shooting. Congresswoman Giffords was shot once in the head. She's still alive, and the surgeon in charge is cautiously optimistic that she may survive. 5 people were killed, two of whom are personal friends of mine, including Councilwoman Giffords. One being a federal judge, John Roll, who this morning got up like he does on every Saturday morning, went to Mass, because he knows Gabrielle very well, decided to come around the corner and say hi. Unfortunately, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I've never met a more sincere, fair-minded, brilliant federal judge, or any judge for that matter, in my whole life. John Roll has been on the federal bench for a number of years. Before that, he was a prosecutor for the Pima County Attorney's Office. And we also have the county attorney in the audience, Barbara Wall. One of the finest human beings I've ever met in my life. He was a frequent attendant at daily Mass downtown at the cathedral. And this morning he went to Mass and was going to go home and do the floors, which he always does on Saturday. Congresswoman Giffords was an incredibly gifted legislator. She still is. She's one of the nicest human beings that has ever been planted on this earth. She's not only brilliant, she's works from dawn till dawn, basically, and she cares what really happens in this country. She's not about Democrats or Republicans. She's not about politics. All she cares about is the United States of America. And today, I want to tell you, I hope that all Americans are saddened and as shocked as we are. And I hope that some of them, or most of them, are as angry as I am and as a lot of us are. And I think it's time as a country that we need to do a little soul searching, because I think it's the vitriolic rhetoric that we hear day in and day out from people in the radio business and some people in the TV business and what we see on TV and how our youngsters are being raised, that this has not become the nice United States of America that most of us grew up in. And I think it's time that we do the soul searching. Two brave individuals at this crime scene tackled the suspect, who is a white male, 22 years old, and at this point we're not able to divulge his name. He has kind of a troubled past, I can tell you that. And we're not convinced that he acted alone. There's some reason to believe that he came to this location with another individual. And there's reason to believe that the other individual in some way be involved. I know all that does is pique your curiosity and you'll have a million questions, but based on the advice of legal counsel, we're not going to be able to give you any more information on that. As much as we would like to find this person, and we have pictures of him, at some point in the near future, hopefully, we'll be allowed to provide the public with that. At this point, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Nathan Gray, the FBI SAC for Arizona. And I'd like to thank all of the federal agencies, all of the public safety agencies, the fire, the police, the medical people that have responded to this in just incredible professional fashion. We're overwhelmed by the professionalism exhibited by all of the agencies involved to come together to work this very, very sad case. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest condolences to the families and friends of those affected by today's tragedy. I'd like to express my condolences to the families of John M. Roll, Chief Judge, U.S. District Court of Arizona, and Representative Gabrielle Giffords. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those who were impacted by today's events. The FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Office are working together on every aspect of this joint investigation. And we are utilizing all resources necessary to ensure that those responsible are brought to justice. I'd like to thank our federal, state, and local partners who have played such an important role in today's events, and those efforts continue. As this is an ongoing investigation, it would be not be prudent to comment above any of the details that we discuss, that were discussed by the sheriff. And as new information becomes available, we will provide that to you. Again, the events of today not only affect the citizens of Arizona, the families involved, but touches the hearts of Americans throughout the United States. Thank you.
I can tell you that there are 19 victims in this case, 5 of whom are dead, one including a 9-year-old girl. 6? We now have 6 deceased?
Or 6 deceased.
Okay. I think you all heard that we have 6 victims who are deceased. So if you have any questions at this point, we'll try to answer them as best we can, but keep in mind, as SAC Gray stated, it's very difficult for us to talk about evidentiary issues at this point. We have federal crimes involved and we have state crimes involved, and we have legal experts providing us with the guidance that we need at this point, but to talk about specifics is going to be very difficult. But if you have any questions, yes, sir.
Do you believe that Congresswoman Giffords was actually the target? Was she the first person shot?
I don't know the answer to the question about was she the first person shot. But I think, yes, she was the target.
Had she been receiving threats recently?
Well, I'm not aware of any public officials that have not been receiving threats. She had 2 very unfortunate incidents occur during a very vitriolic campaign that just occurred. She had one situation where someone in a very angry audience dropped a weapon out of their pants. She had an incident around the same time where windows were broken out of her headquarters. We understand that at her headquarters right now, at Swan and Pima, that there is a suspicious package that's being investigated.
Can you say anything about the possible motive for this, if indeed she was the target?
Well, I can tell you this, that the 22-year-old individual does have a criminal background, and there are reports that he was a Pima College student and that there had been some difficulties with him. But again, I'd just like to say that when you look at unbalanced people, how they respond to the vitriol that comes out of certain mouths about tearing down the government, the anger, the hatred, the bigotry that goes on in this country is getting to be outrageous. And unfortunately, Arizona, I think, has become sort of the capital. We have become the Mecca for prejudice and bigotry.
So was this related to prejudice and bigotry? Or
Pardon?
was this related possibly then to prejudice and
All I can tell you is that there's reason to believe that this individual may have a mental issue. And I think that people who are unbalanced are especially susceptible to vitriol.
Sheriff, can you comment on the conditions of the other victims?
I cannot. As I understand it, no one at this point is in a life-threatening situation.
Can you name the other victims who deceased?
Two have not been identified.
Sheriff, were they all shot, or were some people injured in panic and chaos?
No, they were all shot.
Do you have the names of the ones that have
We have some of the names that we can release here. Some of the families have not been appropriately dealt with at this particular point, but staff has the names, ages, and so forth of the victims that we can release.
You said there are 19 victims. Were all 19 shot?
Yes.
All 19?
Yes.
What was the weapon, Sheriff?
Well, it was a semi-automatic weapon. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Oh, we're not going to get into the real specifics of what we have, but it was a semi-automatic pistol.
You said that the shooter had a troubled past with a criminal background. Can you please give us some more details about that?
No, at this point, we're not able to go into the specifics of his background.
Are we concerned about the other person that you mentioned that may have been?
Pardon?
Is the other shooter,
Concerned about that other person?
the other suspect, is he a shooter?
No.
Sheriff, about an hour ago, there was a silver sedan towed from the parking lot where this occurred. Was that all related to the incident?
I don't think so.
Who has the shooter? Where is he at? Who's custody?
He's in the custody of the Pima County Sheriff's Department. We're not able to go into the specifics of those issues at the moment.
Sheriff, is there any sort of protection plan for other federal employees in the area?
No, but it's not unusual for all public officials to get threats constantly, myself included. And that's the sad thing of what's going on in America. Pretty soon we're not going to be able to find reasonable, decent people who are willing to subject themselves to serve in public office.
Sheriff, was her security not captured at the event?
There was no security.
Can you release the names of the men who tackled the shooter?
I don't have them. Do we have them?
I do not have them.
We don't have them here, but we know who they are.
Sheriff, Chief Cassier earlier said that, if I heard you right, that the attack was caught on videotape from the store. Can you confirm that? If so,
Right now, we're not going to be able to go into that specific information.
is that correct?
Can you talk about any return of fire? Did somebody shoot back at the shooter?
There was no exchange of gunfire.
Was there security at the press conference?
There was not. It wasn't a press conference. This was a town hall informal meeting outdoors.
Did the mall or the store itself have any kind of security officer present?
Not to my knowledge, but that's not unusual.
Sheriff, do you know what the shooter was saying as he was shooting? Was he
Uh,
yelling out names as we
Based on our investigation, we don't have any specifics about what he might or might not have said.
Can you tell us the conditions of the congressional aid who was there?
No, I can't.
Sure, when do you expect, how long do you expect that scene to be locked down on the way to?
I don't know. We still have a whole lot of work to do there.
Where do you believe the other person who might be involved in this case is headed? Is he?
Don't know where he's headed. We don't know who he is.
Do you know that it is indeed a male?
Pardon?
Do you know that it is indeed a male? Sorry.
Whoever's mic that was, I'm sorry. Now it's 3 mics. We do know that he's a male, yes, sir.
The other individual.
Pardon?
The other individual. The other individual that you mentioned with that possibly arrived at the event with the shooter.
I'm 74. I'm going to be 75 next week, and my hearing is not very good.
Are you sure that the other individual is a male?
Yes.
Okay.
What leads you to believe that he is aligned with this first suspect?
Well, I'm not at liberty to go into that at this moment, but obviously we are pursuing this aspect of the investigation very aggressively, and if there comes a point in time where we can release all the information, we're going to do that as soon as possible.
Any questionable affiliations?
From the shooter, why did he do it? Was it policy? Was it illegal immigration?
I don't know.
Has he made any statements?
No.
Sheriff, you mentioned a suspicious package. Can you elaborate on that?
It's happening as we speak. That's all I know. The Tucson Police Department is handling it.
Has he retained counsel, Sheriff?
Pardon?
Has he retained counsel?
I don't know the answer, but I know that he has invoked his rights.
Are there other suspects beyond the one?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Do you have the identity of this other person, and are you currently looking for him, actively looking for him?
We have an individual that we are actively in pursuit of, but I can't tell you who he is at this point.
Sheriff, these 2 heroes that stepped in and tackled the suspect, can you say with certainty that had they not done that, that the suspect could have shot others?
Well, at this point, I don't know if he still had ammunition in the gun or not. He did. Yeah, he could have, he probably would have shot other people had he not been tackled by 2 people.
Did any of the victims seem to know the shooter?
No.
Sir, do you know how many rounds were shot? And can you take us through a little bit about what happened, the sequence of events, how the town hall was occurring, were people in line waiting to speak with Gabrielle Giffords? Did this gentleman come up and attempt to speak to her? Can you just provide us a little bit more with how
No, as I said, it was a very informal thing that was just starting. And he ran into the crowd, and when he got to her, he started shooting. Wound up shooting 19 people.
Is there security video from the parking lot?
I'm not at liberty to talk about evidence at the moment.
Sheriff, you've gone into great detail about the possible mental state of this suspect.
Well, as we understand it, there have been law enforcement contacts with the individual where he made threats.
Against her?
No.
Who did he threaten?
I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
Can you at all describe the nature of the threats?
To kill.
Are you aware of the YouTube page that apparently belongs to the suspect?
7 minutes long, yes, sir.
You mentioned there were other rounds. Do you know if he was planning to kill himself?
We think that may be a possibility.
Is it accurate? Is it accurate that he was a veteran, military veteran?
I do not know the answer to that.
How many shots in total fired?
Do not know the answer to that.
This other person that you're looking for, you mentioned it, no, but can you say if he's white, young?
He's white,
Do you know approximately what his age is?
probably in his 50s.
Is it normal protocol not to have Giffords well equipped with security around her during these types of events, even if they're...
This was strictly normal procedure. This is when Gabrielle Giffords, and I've been to many of her events with her, goes, there's never security unless there's advanced intelligence that there may be a problem of some kind, which there were plenty of during the election. But she goes to 4 to 6 to sometimes 8 events in one day when she's here over the weekend.
Security is her choice, is that correct, Sheriff?
Well, she can ask for security, but she's never asked and been refused that I'm aware of.
Sheriff, the judge who was there, would he just happen to be coincidence? He knew Congresswoman Giffords was there, and he just came by to say hello?
He wanted to say hi. He knows her very well.
Sheriff, is one of the deceased victims her aide?
Let me just repeat that we have two people who are not identified, and I think for the sake of the families of people who think that possibly they may have friends or relatives that may fit into the category of deceased, it's not appropriate for me to say.
But you said you could identify the others.
We have the names of some that have, the families have been notified, and those are going to be available after the conference hearing.
Beyond the names, do we know whether these were aides? Do we know whether these were people in the audience? Do we have that identifying information?
We have it, but we're not releasing it at the moment for the reason I stated.
One more quick question about the 9-year-old girl. Was she just with the parents in the audience? Was she relative to Ms. Giffords?
We do not have that information on that.
We don't know why she was there. She may have just been walking by.
This has been a very chaotic scene, as you can well imagine. That number of people who were injured or killed, and they've gone to different hospitals. So it's been very difficult for us to try to sort all these things out. We're doing the best we can, and when we get the information that can be released, it'll be released. A lot of it is available right now.
Sheriff, you said he was carrying a pistol. Did he reload? Was he carrying a lot of ammunition?
I'm not at liberty to talk about that.
Did he threaten other public officials?
I'm not at liberty to talk about that.
Security being intensified for other public officials.
Well, those are issues that are going to have to be decided on a case-by-case basis.
Is there any inkling that we have an Arizona pattern? After all, Homeland Security Secretary Jan Napolitano got a package the other day, and now this. Is there any, and perhaps Mr. Gray might answer that, if he could. Is there an Arizona pattern to this that you can see?
Not that we're aware of, that we're seeing right now.
Sir, the weapon that he did have, do you know how many rounds that had the capability of holding?
Substantial number.
Any idea? Can you be more specific?
Did it have an extended clip?
They already know that, Sheriff, it did.
Pardon?
Sorry?
They already know that it did
It did what?
have an extended magazine.
So do we have any estimate of then, knowing that, on how many rounds it could hold?
We're not going to discuss it.
Can you elaborate on the shooter's experience at Dupnik College? What kind of disciplinary problems it might have?
Well, he was, as I said, a subject of some police interest in the recent past.
Do you also believe Representative Hall was also a target by any chance?
I don't have any reason to believe that.
Are there any other law enforcement agencies investigating this besides the Pima County Sheriff's Office?
Well, we have a number of federal agencies. Their chiefs are here in the audience, as a matter of fact. We've had AT&F, we've had DEA, we've had ICE, we've had the U.S. Marshal, and their representatives are here with us today.
Sheriff, when you talked about his mental problems, can you elaborate? Was he schizophrenic? Did he talk
To
about...
my, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I have no reason to believe that the person was insane. Was he unstable? I would agree with that.
Sheriff, how long did a suicide note?
Pardon?
Did a suicide note found?
I can't talk about that.
Sheriff, how quickly was law enforcement on scene?
Within a few minutes.
Is the second person that you're looking for a suspect or just a person of interest?
He's a person of interest at the moment.
Is that person related to the gunman?
We don't know who he is.
Was there a possibility of another attack at Congregation Unshot had this attack not gone on?
I don't know.
Next event?
We don't know. He's not talking, and we have a lot of work to do.
Sir, about how many people were in the crowd this morning, if you know, in all?
I think there were roughly 2 or 3 dozen people there.
2 or 3 dozen in all?
Right.
Can you clarify how many people were killed at the scene versus en route or at a hospital?
5.
All were killed at the scene?
Yes.
Thank you.
Right at the hospital.
The 6th person, 9-year-old girl died at the hospital.
Is it correct?
5 were killed at the scene. 1 died at the hospital.
Did he have a car in the parking lot?
We don't know.
I hate to ask this question.
Pardon?
How long before the paramedics showed up?
I would imagine that they are right around the corner, so it would have been almost immediately.
Was there any way for the person of interest to drop him off?
Don't know.
Were all the people who were shot in attendance at the event?
I don't know the answer to that.
Did nearby businesses, obviously there's a lot of them, did they go into lockdown? Tell us a little bit about
I don't know the answer to that, but Captain Nanos, N-A-N-O-S, who's in charge of the Detective Division for the Pima County Sheriff's Department, can probably give you more specifics.